What is going on? Happy Saturday to you guys. Hope you all been doing well and are having a terrific start of the weekend. Um, it's been a very busy week for me, but I hope you guys are able to have some well-deserved R&R as we get into the weekend and try to enjoy yourself. So, hello, welcome in. First one on the show tonight, other than wonderful me, is Jose Joy Fishkeeping is here. Good morning to you. Thanks for stopping by. Ian, thanks. Hello for coming in. Jose and Ian are two of my wonderful moderators. So bear with me here as we had a little bit of a struggle bus on my last live stream. It was good, but sometimes when I do these vertical and horizontal at the same time, you get a little bit rambunctious on the people that come in. So I do want to keep and remind everyone that to keep everything family friendly and make sure to keep things PG. And also for the people who are in here, like Ian and Jose, if you want to, just as a reminder, if, as I'm getting through my topic and my discussion, that if you happen to see anything, to give them the boot or do a friendly reminder saying, hey, we've got to make sure to keep this family friendly and not to throw anything out there that's going to cause anything or any issues. So I just want to do a friendly reminder as we get into the bulk of my live stream for today. Which is a great topic. I'm really looking forward to talking about everything that goes on in this and then what is all involved and that sort of thing. But it's great to be here. It's great to finally have nice weather. It's a good motivator. It definitely is. I mean, anytime the sun comes out, even if it's cold, anytime the sun's out, always tends to brighten up my day and brightens up my family's day. It makes you want to go out and do stuff, right? You know, no one wants to be out in the cold unless you're like a snowboard or ski club sort of person, or if you like the rain or want to run out and get your rain jacket and play in the puddles, whatever. But I think no matter what, I mean, from my experience, when I go to Florida to visit my dad, people are just so much nicer. Nobody likes it up here in gloomy Ohio. And Jose, maybe you feel the same way. Maybe people in New York, maybe they don't really like, the gloomy weather and want to be down south. So I don't know. Maybe you can relate to me on that. But yes, this is the PG channel. On other channels, maybe not so much. And maybe when it comes time to when I decide to do a channel change well, I've already done a channel change, but if I decide to, what I want to decide to do with these 6 months of testing out the waters of doing different things on this channel besides fish keeping. And it is a motivation driver for me as well. Just because it gets me out to branch out and do new things, try new things, see what works and what doesn't, get like an end result. Really buckle down on some of that ideas that you have, what has a good success rate, what doesn't, and how the performance goes on like the feedback and how I do as a person, how well that I present to you guys and what you guys think. Attitude has always been a positive attitude on this channel, always has and always will be. So I want to make sure I keep driving that factor and then always work towards the goals of continuing to do fish keeping, continuing to do this YouTube channel when my time allows it, and have your guys' full support. I'm throwing in all the different things that are on here when it comes to majority of fish keeping and my hobbies, and then everything else I decide to throw on this channel for the last 4 months and the next couple months before I make a final decision on what I decide to do with my channel. But this has been a very interesting test theory for myself, and it has gone well. It's been very interesting to figure out what works and what doesn't. But change is always good. So the only people I've seen, some people come and go as so far 5 people are on here. So far the only person that's commented is Jose and Ian. So thank you for that. Anyone who comes in and joins in, please stop by and don't be afraid to say hello and say and welcome in. We got a third person in here, Amanda Griffith. So thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Like I said, anyone that's new on here, just feel free to stop by and say hello. That's all I need. Let me know you're in here and you came and hang out with the Price Tag Experience, what was formerly known as Price Tag Aquariums. Long story short, I'm still in the process of testing the waters, changing something a little bit, doing it for about 6 months. I'm about 4 months in, and I'm going to play this out for the last couple months and see how this drives out and what the results are. So that's what I was looking for. Hello, Tim. You've been in here since 10:20. So you were actually technically number one. Shadow Shrugs, my good friend Tim. So thanks for coming in. So yeah, please, any of my moderators like Tim, he's one of them, Jose, Ian, it doesn't have to be real frequent, but enough to get to the point to where, like I said, this is a PG channel, keep it family friendly. Any comments, situations, or anything that could lead away from my topic that I'm talking about, or anything that drives away from negativity. We all want to have constructive criticism and be kind and be helpful with each other to get through this live stream. And that's what I've always wanted to do. So please keep that in mind. My moderators will help keep that all intact. And again, apology with my moderators. I think what I'm going to do next live stream is I'm just going to make it horizontal, and instead of horizontal and vertical, because I know it can be kind of tough. So maybe Ian and Jose, you might be able to work back and forth between you guys through the chat. Maybe one watch the vertical and then one watch the horizontal, so that way you guys can kind of monitor the chat. And when you have time, if you guys have other stuff or you need to go with your family, friends, relatives on a weekend, I understand that. But your time here is definitely appreciative, and if you guys can watch over that, because we had a few people that came in on my live stream, and I actually had to go in there and kick them out because Ian was on his own. But thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. I don't know how to say your name, but thank you for coming in. Have you kept Turkana drool cichlids? No, I have not. And I don't know a whole lot about Turkana drool cichlids. I think we had talked about this once before, and I actually got, a few, I can't say new fish because I've already had these fish before, but I added to my collection. But I'm going to have to look into that. So let me Google that real quick just so I don't forget. And then you can also, I'll have to look into that. Turkana, the drool cichlids. I think we have talked about that. Turkana. Yep, because it's on my history. So there we go. Man, those things, I forgot how vibrant those things are, Jose. So thank you for reminding me about that. That's great to see. But yeah, the last live stream I had, I was on, what day was that? I can't even remember. Let me go to my channel. It was 3 days ago. So what's today? Saturday, Friday, Thursday. So that would have been on, let's see, Wednesday on the 8th. And it went pretty good. This topic that I have for you guys for today is kind of the driving factor of what my decision is for having one channel or two channels. And this has been, like I said, testing the waters, doing something, changing something around to see what works and what doesn't. And then I make a final decision of what I decide to do. And that's solely and all about me. And this is why I'm doing this topic. This is why I'm doing this topic as well, dealing with motivation, because it gives me all these ideas, what success rate I have on this, what goals do I have in mind to keep this channel rolling, and what do I plan to do for it in the future. And of course, with your guys' support, and got to have a positive attitude on it, and keep performing to the best of my ability, and see what works. So they stay small, about 3 inches max, not aggressive. If you want some, let me know. We'll send some. If you have a bunch of them, I don't want to steal from your, I don't want to steal your thunder, if I say that in the right terms. But if you send some, I do have, will they fit in a 20-gallon long? Because I have three German blue rams and a small phantom pleco from Jody P. And if they fit well with the German rams, but the German rams, they're only about like an inch right now. If they're bigger than that, I'll have to find a spot, because right now I don't have a small enough tank without someone getting picked on. Because all my fish are pretty on the large scale. Like we're talking like, if I look at my 220-gallon, they're probably about 3 inches big, and they'll probably get about 5 to 6 and maybe 7 at the most. I would think around the 6-inch side for full grown. And then, but those fish, the peacocks, they're just, I tried to put like a pleco in there, long story short. And I thought the pleco was bigger than I thought. And then when I put him in the 220 tank, he just got destroyed. And I felt bad for it. And that's just horrible. But yeah, let me just keep in touch with me, Jose, and maybe I can talk to you after the live stream over the phone or something like that, or in text, and we can kind of go from there. But the only tank I currently have that's small right now is a 20-gallon long with those German Rams. So, all right, Tim. Hopefully you're doing okay and you're feeling better. I know Tim was sick for a little bit. But yeah, thank you for the reminder, Jose, and we'll touch base with everyone after that, or everyone after this. I'll touch base with you after this live stream. Boy, I couldn't talk. But at any rate, I usually like to give you all my updates. There's not a whole lot other than what I just told you about the Pleco. I would say that I'd be lying to you guys if I did not like electric blue Acaras. They have become one of my favorite fish, and I was missing them because I had a few of them a while back, and they since passed. And I got it whenever I moved my fish into the 200-gallon. I got a couple more from a local fish store. It's about a half hour away from me. And then after that, they succeeded well because I have pretty hard water over here, about like 8. Usually pH really runs about 8 or so. And the local fish store, I mean, a lot of these stores you go to, they have RO systems. So their pH is like anywhere from 7.5 to 7.6. So I always have a hard time, especially with electric blue Acaras, from my experience, that they just don't tend to make it any longer than a few months or so or less. So this place that's down there, that's half hour from my house, they have hard water as well, and they do not use an RO system. So their pH is around 8, which is great because their transition between their store and my store, like I have had the best success rate from this fish store because of that reason. Their store is called Boggs Aquatics in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. So, yeah, for anyone that comes in, thank you, Ian, for the reminder. Thumbs up and give us all a hello, and thank you for doing so. And make sure you just stop by and let you know that you came in to hang out for a little bit. I was hoping to get on Jesse Salient's live stream this morning, but he's got some housework to do, it seems like, so he didn't do a live stream this morning. So I was kind of hoping that people would join his live stream and then kind of go from his live stream and jump on over to my live stream. So since he's not on here this morning, hopefully that won't dwindle my performance on this live stream, but only time will tell, right? So yeah, I do have a poll that's relative to my topic that I want to discuss about tonight. So I don't know if that shows up. Jose and Ian, you can let me know if, because right now this is what my poll is. I don't know how that shows up on YouTube, and I'm not sure if this is interactive or not. But I'm not going to leave this up the whole entire time. I'm just going to kind of bring this up as I get through every section of my notes to see what the results are in this. So let me know in the comments what this entails, because this is the first time I've done this. It's something new that StreamYard did that I just got a notification on as I was logging into StreamYard. But it's obviously relative to my topic that I'm talking about. So if people can vote on it, of the two options, what best motivates you to keep doing fish keeping? Is success your driving factor, or is performance? And if you had to pick one or the other, because obviously those coincide with each other, but if you had to choose one and be heavier on that in particular item, then let me know. But I can hide this poll as well. So I'm not sure if this is something that's clickable or if it's something that you guys, if I have to have it shown the entire time for you guys to vote on. So this is something new that StreamYard's doing. So I'm kind of curious as to how that works. All right, Ian, but you can see it pop up though. So maybe that's just something that I show. I know that YouTube in general, I can put a poll on there, and I haven't done, I mean, I've seen it done on other live streams, and I decided to not do that this time because I wanted to see how the StreamYard one worked out. So maybe on my next live stream, I can do that. Can't find it when searching. I was only able to link from the text. So if I bring this up and show it, is this something that you can actually click on, or is it something that you're able to see? So let me know how that works out when you're saying, okay. Yeah, I don't think the poll, from what I understand, from what Jose and Ian are talking about, it doesn't seem like that poll is, yeah, it's not interactive. So it seems like this is just, It's just to see. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Maybe next time, if I even, I don't know if I can do this on YouTube live. I would have to figure out how to bring it up, and I could do this exact same thing. Hey, Henry, thanks for coming in. We're just getting started here, so I'll be talking about what drives your motivation. But yeah, this poll is, if I can figure this out, maybe within the live stream, maybe if I go to my channel, I could do this exact same thing. So that way it's interactive for you guys, as opposed to what I have now with what StreamYard has. So let me see if I can do a poll on here. It would probably only work for the horizontal side, but let me see if I can get this poll. And if it doesn't work for me, I'm going to give myself a few minutes to see if I can put this poll up here. I know some people don't like it because it can be kind of interruptive on the chat. So let me see if I can start a poll here by engaging. Let's do start a poll on here. So we're going to create a poll. Let me see if I can copy and paste this, so that way you guys can interact with me. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. All I have is a yes or no option. So can I add an option? And should I be able to delete it? Let me see here. So let me look at this poll, success and performance. Okay. Add option. And then there's another one. Let me see here. This is going to be kind of funky, so let me see. I don't know why. I don't know how to get rid of yes or no. So let me see how that shows up. So let me hide this and let's see what YouTube brings up. If this doesn't work, then it's okay. All right, so I'm looking on my channel now, but at any rate, we'll see what happens. All trial and error. That's it. I remember starting my first live stream, and holy smoke, it was like the audio and the visual. It was just like a headache of trying to figure it all out. And granted, I was doing it on my phone too, but I was hoping to do everything like on a computer, and figuring that all out has been absolutely crazy. But okay, so it does come up. I don't know how to delete the yes or no option. So try to ignore that with this poll. So anyone that comes in, I want you to choose either success or performance. It would not give me the option, at least that I could see, to remove one of the answers. So my main focus behind all this is success or performance. Just like whenever I bring up on StreamYard, this is what I want it to be about. Of the two options, what best motivates you to keep doing fish keeping? So just stay away from yes and no, and just make sure it is success or performance. And I'll keep reminding you guys as we go along, we go through the topic that I want to talk about today. So cool. Well, that works out. That works out then. Hopefully you guys can click on that and we can get a poll started. So with all that being said, let's get into today's topic. And it all deals with motivation. And this is really, really nice to be able to go through. I talked a little bit about this on my last live stream about keeping one YouTube channel or two YouTube channels. A good YouTube a fellow YouTuber of mine left a really, really good comment, very constructive criticism, very good long comment. It was a Whips World, and he did not watch my live stream, but I could tell he replayed it along with a few others, which was nice to see. He left a good comment about the whole process of what you want to have as your end goal for a YouTube channel, whether it be money driven, whether it be communication driven, or you just want to come out here and share your hobbies and interests and that sort of thing. So it revolves around a lot of different things. And I think I like to center this around motivation. And I believe that is a big portion of what keeps this hobby going. You failed the poll. Trial and error, my friend. So let me get into this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys about my center motivation. And I'm going to talk about all these 6 things. What's 6, I believe? Let's see. 1, 2, yeah, 6. Okay. And I'm going to revolve around these 6 things that has a center focal point of what drives your motivation to continue to do fish keeping. And not only does this apply just to fish keeping itself, but it could also apply to your daily activities, whether your hobbies, your interests, your family, your friends, anything that you want to do in life. So don't think it's just for fish keeping, but since this is a main fish keeping channel, I want to try to relate in that aspect to try to bring back the home of everyone and their fish keeping stuff. So let me get to my first option on here of my first motivation driver to help keep this flow of conversation going. So the first thing I have on here on the top left of my thumbnail has to deal with a support. So the support has always come from obviously myself, because without me, I wouldn't be doing this, but mainly has come from the Fish Fam. You know, the Fish Fam link, everyone that I've met through YouTube has been a majority of my support, with an exception. And I'll get that into it in a minute. But I feel like the support is a really strong leg of this motivation to help keep you going and doing fish keeping and to do anything that you want to do in life, whether what hobbies or interests that you have. So you got to have a good support system. Like I said, the YouTube has been a majority of my support. The Fish Fam, starting out from the beginning was all me. So just looking at things up on Google and watching YouTube videos, but that's all helpful and everything. When it comes down to it, whenever I started my YouTube channel and I started to get to know people, got to see them in person, I'd have yet to still do that, you know, because I'm hoping to get everything worked out for me to go to the Kentucky Bluegrass Bash, I think it is. It's about 5 hours from my house, and I'll get another opportunity to meet a bunch of people from YouTube in person. But yeah, long story short, it took a while in the beginning for me to get a strong support system just because it was all on my own. But once I got a good connection with people and doing live streams, my support system before doing all this and get to know everyone through YouTube was going to local fish stores, not your big box stores, but like your smaller local fish stores. And as I was going more and more often, then you start to see the people who own the stores, and it really gets to more of a one-on-one personal basis. And those people sometimes can be some of the best people to talk to when it comes to fish keeping in this aspect of this, and it helps keep me motivated. So the few places I've been to in my area, there's a place called Aquatica Aquarium Gallery. That place is pretty well known in Valley City, Ohio. Boggs Aquatic is for sure has definitely been more recently into my support system because the owners are just him and his wife, and every time you go there, it's always them too. So you're always dealing with just them and just them only, and they run their own personal business there, and that's what they do, and they love doing it. So you have a nice one-on-one basis. They have enough time on their hands to be able to talk with you in depth of what's going on in their fish room, where they get their fish from, how they take care of their fish, what their water parameters are, and they give you so many helpful tips to just be able to, like, they ask you questions on what your fish room has and what you can put with and what their experiences is with. I mean, it's just a pleasurable experience to help keep me motivated in here. And then another place was Agna Aquatic. So I got to know the guy there, the owner, and he's been really helpful too as well. But the bulk of it is going to like your local fish stores and getting a lot of like a strong support system with that whenever I was on my own. Now, as far as at home goes, you have to think inside, or you have to think of it this way, is my wife actually has been a very strong supporter of this too. And the reason I say that too is because, you know, just like every fish keeper knows, you know, if they're not totally involved in the fish keeping hobby, they have to put up with all of our fish keeping crap. to put it lightly, but you have to think that she's been taking care of two wonderful kids and taking care of the family, and then at the same time feeding the fish when I'm going to work. And she has to see like the purchases that I make when it comes to fish or fish food or maintenance or anything like that. Granted, my fish room is pretty much complete right now, so the bulk of my purchases have lately just been fish. If I decide to get something new, or something that has died off in replacement or fish food. So other than that, my wife, she takes care of everything and lets me know. She doesn't do any of the maintenance, but she does let me know if something's happening, feed the fish while I'm gone at work. And on top of taking care of two wonderful children that we have. So if she didn't support me, then I wouldn't be having a fish room, or a man cave in my basement. So that's a good motivator for me. So I want to see what you guys tell me. I'm going to go through each one of these 6 options, and I want to see what your guys' strong support system is. Like, what can you guys tell me? This is your chance for you guys to tell me what your support system is in your fish keeping hobby or in any one of your hobbies. Okay, thank you, Jose. Anyone that's on here, I want to know what your strongest support system is when it comes to your motivation for keeping your hobby or your fish room for that matter. This is your chance to share your experience with you or with me. So this live stream might take a little bit longer than normal, just because I want to hear your guys' input as well on what you guys have done in your fish rooms and what is your support system to help keep you motivated to do your hobby or your interest or anything like that. So that's where my support comes from. It originally just started with myself and learning things on YouTube, looking at stuff up on Google, going to local fish stores. And then my wife, of course, she says she's okay with doing whatever you want to do that makes you happy. What keeps that motivation driver going? And as long as the financial side supports it and our life, supports it, you can do what you want to do. So I have her full support in that, which is nice. My friend Tim, he says that my fish in the tanks are my support system. Technically, actually, if you think about it, your fish tank stand is your support system, technically. But yeah, sometimes a lot of people use their fish just in general. So you're right, Tim, that some people use their fish tanks as something for just to calm, as long as everyone's getting along and the fish tank is doing well, your fish room's doing well. Some people come back home from like a stressful day or something that's, they're either sick or something's going on in their life, or maybe, work or life in general. Some people just use a fish room as a state of calm and relaxation, just watching the fish swim around. It just kind of eases their mind and it helps get them in the right state of mind, I guess, for loss of better terms. So yeah, that's a great comment, Tim. I appreciate that. Jose says same here. He's on the page with wife to look out, Yeah, that's basically how my wife is too. She's the lookout, support and motivation. So like I said, with everything else, it does have a support system, but without my wife and hanging out with me throughout this whole process of the starting of the fish room, you can't do that I couldn't do it without her. But that's great that she supports you, Jose. Does not bother me with what I do, which is great, and takes care of feeding. So that's, even my daughter has done it. She's 3.5. So even my daughter tends to help out every so often, which is nice. It was easier for her when I had my smaller tanks, but she'll still help out when she can, like my one tank upstairs. Receives new arrivals, which is great, and records for unboxing for a video. So that's great that she supports that and helps you out with that. So all good points from Tim and Jose. And Ian says what is good support is from his family, friends, on or off the web, goes a long way. So I can't do the hobby without them. And I totally agree with you. And that's true too, like if you choose to post. So Ian, that's a good point as well. I mean, a good support system is always good to have. And I think it all comes down, from what Tim and Jose and Ian has said, that friends, family, looking things up, and then people that want to come down and enjoy your fish room and say, hey, spring out good ideas from each other, joining the YouTube community and reaching out to people. And it's just great to, fear, of judgment will be out of the window, and we're all just here to take care of each other. So that's great. All right. So all good answers there, and I appreciate it. All right, so moving right along onto my second point, and we're going to move on to going right across my thumbnail here is to the idea that drives your motivation. So, great ideas, as I like to call, like in, if anyone knows about like imagination. I'm sure, Tim, you would know about all that. But good ideas come from the brain's ability to be able to connect with existing memories, experiences, and information. And it often happens during downtime or even encountering a new diverse perspective. And they more often, I would say, rather form from smaller or like a spark of imagination or like an interesting like a hunch, I guess, for lots of better terms. But in collide, those things kind of collide to create new original concepts through the association of what you want to do with it. So it all has to do with imagination and your brain's ability to be able to connect with existing memories, to come up with an idea of what says, you know what, I haven't done that in a while, or you know what, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see what I can do about this great idea, and then it starts to get your brain moving and ticking and gets you motivated. So from my experience, my biggest idea was to first create a fish room and breed African cichlids and let it branch off from there. Because once I realized how they bred, I had no idea why until one of my fish was holding fry in their mouth. It was a mind-blowing thing for me, and I decided to keep doing it, and it motivated me to keep doing it, get fish tanks, and to do it all myself to see if I could do it. And I obviously had great success. It kept me motivated to keep doing it for a while, and it was a great experience that I'll never forget, and I will never, even though I'm not doing it anymore, it's not something that I will ever regret. And it was a huge motivation factor for me to learn more about fish and see what they do and how they breed and how they interact, and learn from that experience to keep me motivated. So after that, I was going to continue to do that and let it branch off to wherever I needed to go, because I basically had my own Petco down here with like over 30 tanks. But my idea was to keep doing that. Well, then my season of life has changed, and I can't say for better or for worse, but definitely for the better. And my seasons of life have changed into a different kind of breeding. And I now have 2 kids. Before I started doing all this, I didn't have any kids, and one was on the way at the time. And even then, when I had 1 kid, once you have that second one, it's like a whole different time factor, and you have to accommodate with your season of life to not cross that fine line of where it becomes too much work. And we'll get to that later. So then after that, my idea switched over to be able to, my idea was to be able to maintain a fish room, a well-established fish room within my life and YouTube, and share my experience with others. So with that being said, I want to hear from you guys. What are some of your ideas that you've come up with that has made a great success for fish keeping or in general? Like, I want to hear from you guys. What do you believe has been your best idea that keeps you motivated, that keeps you successful? And we'll talk about success here in a little bit, but I want to hear from you guys. It's not just me all this time. I want to know what you guys are saying. Yeah, we haven't done that in a while, Tim. Hey, what's up, Don? Thank you for coming in. We're talking about motivation here in my live stream. I want to hear from you guys. What is some driving factors through this motivation talk? What is the one thing that you feel motivates you in the fish room? And we're talking about 6 different factors. And I just now finished up with idea, and we're going to move along to success. But I want to see in the comments, either Prodigal Aquarius, Tim, Ian, Jose, let me know what you guys think real quick for a few minutes. I'll see what you guys come in on. What was your best idea to help keep you motivated? Because I've had a lot of ideas, and you have to pick the right ones and what's going to accommodate your life schedule and what works best for you, right? So you guys might be on separate, Ian, if you can't see, that's just because of probably one's on vertical and one's on horizontal. So that might be the case. So is it just me? I come up with all the great ideas, Tim? Well, you're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome? Okay. Joe, I'm going to have to my discus place. We'll be listening on the drive. All right, Jose, thank you. Thank you for listening in, and I appreciate it. Um, all right, so that's good. I'm glad I could do that. And I was the one that helped you out with that, Tim. And that it gave you like that spark of idea of, let's see what we have here. We have, I got to go back to my notes here. So going back to the imagination from the brain's ability to connect with existing memories and have that spark of idea or interesting hunch. That's something that I was able to get you started with. So that's great to see, Tim. I appreciate you commenting on that. Um, uh, Lately, selling some fish feels good and motivated to breed a few fish with available space. And that's what I did too. With the available space that I had, I was able to do that. And technically, I still have that space. I have plenty of room to do whatever I need to do now, but I'm kind of at a hold until I decide what I want to do in the future. So I'm happy with what I have. But it's nice to be able to have that available space in selling the fish. And that's what I had to do too to accommodate my life. So that's good for that. So let's move on to success. Now that we've got a couple people in here, let me get in here real quick for Prodigal Quest. I started a tank with a goal. Achieving the goal is my best motivator. Failing that, learning from the experience is also a win-win for me. And we'll get to that, because that is one of the 6 that we're going to talk about here. That is the last one I'm going to talk about. So stay tuned if you can. And I totally agree with you. Achieving that goal is your best motivator, and it keeps you want to keep doing it and all that sort of thing. But we're going to get to that. I promise you. Once we get through this third item, we're about halfway through, and goal is the last one that I'll talk about through my notes. So my next thing I want to do, and here's a reminder, if you guys are still doing that poll, this is going to be a fresh reminder of instead of choosing yes or no, this is a poll that's going to be on YouTube. What are of the 2 options, what best motivates you to keep fish keeping, success or performance? So hopefully that poll will work for you on YouTube. Moving right along. My third option, or my third thing on here that I have on here, is success. So success comes from all sorts of things, and it comes from a combination of consistent hard work, resilient mindset, and taking action rather than luck or talent and skills alone. It is achieved by setting clear goals, maintaining a positive attitude, and utilizing all of the resources that you have on hand and using them effectively and learning from your failures. So ultimately, it's success is doing your best to become the best that you are capable of. So as a prime example for myself, my best success as a fish keeper is always being able to maintain a fish room without being able to overwhelm myself and burn out with the work overload. So like I've always said before, I always stay underneath that fine line of making sure I don't go overboard without being too much work. And I've had to accommodate my fish room for that reason, to make sure that I'm balancing that work-life hobby schedule so I can still enjoy it just as much as I always do, no matter what the case may be. Because if I was still breeding African cichlids and doing stuff in the fish room and having a business, I would not have time with my friends and family and that sort of thing. So finding that perfect balance and having a positive attitude towards it, and utilizing what I have in my own life to keep things enjoyable for myself. That's what makes my fish room a success, is to have that balance and make sure I thrive on that balance. My in-wall setup is a great example behind me. I do have a video on that. I meant to throw that in the chat for anyone who's interested. If any of the moderators, like Tim, or I think Jose's driving, but if Ian, if you're able to find that video and maybe post it on the chat, if not, that's okay. But this is a perfect example of something that has succeeded in my fish room, because this in-wall setup was never here when we moved into this house. And my brother and I put our heads together, and we built this thing up from the ground up. And it has been a great success, and people absolutely love coming in here as an entrance point to my fish room. And then it just kind of goes from there. So everyone has loved it. Also, a success rate for me was my 220 gallon when I run. Also breeding African cichlids, that was a huge success, and I'll never forget about that. And I've had very good feedback from customers and people whenever I gave them fish and sold it to everyone. I've had people come back when I was breeding at the time that they've had some of the best fish and the best success they've ever had with fish when they came from my fish room. So that's always a good thing to hear. So I want to hear from you guys. What is some of your guys' best success to help keep you motivated? What has been successful in your fish keeping hobby, or in general? What is something that is some of your best success to keep you motivated, to keep you driving, and to keep that hobby going, to keep the fish keeping hobby going? What is some success that has happened in your own life? Let me see there. So Ian says he's not at that level yet of selling and breeding fish, but I can't wait to get there. Make sure you give yourself time, my friend, because that's also a driving factor for my life, especially. Jose says I don't do videos frequently, and I don't much either. Coming on live has been more often for me than doing videos. But when I have a topic that interests me, just like your last one with feeding your fish, that's always interesting for me. But positive moments and people tell me, oh, I did not know that, and encourage me to make time to do more. And that's what's good. I think that always, like, positive feedback, especially when people that don't normally come to your house, like let's say if you have contractors coming to your house or your apartment and they need to do something, someone that you don't normally see on a regular basis. People come down there and they're like, oh, wow, look at that. Or, hey, what do you do? And they start asking you questions, and you can answer their questions and knowing that you're confident answering those questions, and you know what works and what doesn't, and what helps you succeed in that, to just know how to answer these questions. You're successful whenever someone asks you a ton of questions and you have confidence that you've built up from experience to be able to answer those questions thoroughly and know what you're talking about and what has worked and what doesn't. So I think that kind of builds success too. But yeah, going back to your wife is the drive and encouragement to do more and improve. So that's perfect. So it's great. Yeah, obviously. It's very great to hear Jose, because he has a great experience with himself and, of course, with their other half. That's, like I said before, your better half, as we all like to call it, is sometimes can be your driving factor as well to help you succeed, to help you push and say, you know what, you can do it. Sometimes if you're feeling down, it's great to hear that. That is my thinking more tanks, although we always want more. Too much may become overwhelming, and you want to stop yourself from that. We all know the stress of having too many tanks. Multi-tank syndrome, MTS. Multi-tank syndrome can be something that can happen, and it can overwhelm you. And granted, when I had 30 plus tanks, I had the time to do it. But when it came down to family and life and seasons of life, I had to switch gears a little bit and prevent myself from overwhelming myself. And I've done so successfully. So that's a good thing for me to have as well. But it's great when your better half takes part in your hobbies and interests. Even though my wife is fully wrapped around the kids right now, as well as I am when I can be and I'm not working, she does still have my support and helps me out with everything and all that sort of thing. So it's great. Yeah, I think whenever you put out videos and people leave positive comments about, compliment your fish, compliment your tanks, compliment on what you do, and saying you guys are doing wonderful, your fish look great, your tanks look great, I can tell you really take care of everything. You want to try to present your videos to the best of your ability. So that's always a great thing to hear from people that helps you succeed down the road. You wouldn't be able to do it without her, with the better half. And everyone else that helps motivate you. So that's wonderful. That's all great to hear. So let's move on to my next topic for all you guys here are listening in. Let me go to performance to help with motivation. So performance stems from the alignment and process of intentional, I should say. So performance stems from the alignment and process of intentional action, skill, and enabling those conditions. And it is driven by motivation, which is our center topic today, and focused attention, internal and external feedback, which is I like to call constructive feedback, because we all like to take constructive criticism without being rude about it. We want to make sure that we're helping each other and not just screwing each other. So that's why I'm, pretty solid on constructive feedback and criticism, and the ability to execute tasks or make things happen rather than merely faking or just going through the motions. So for my example, in my fish room is obviously doing my regular maintenance, checking your filters, making sure everything's in proper working order, feeding regularly the right kinds of food and the right amount of food without overfeeding, which is easy to do because those fish are always right up at the front of the tank if you have really, really friendly fish that are just always up there hanging out. But very easy to do, especially for young kids and stuff, and anyone really. And then what else we got? Water changes, filter upkeep, and then learning and educating yourself on the fish profile and who can go with what fish and that sort of thing. Another thing that I'm kind of big about for this that helps with performance as far as motivation goes is what I like to do is I like to establish some sort of presentation to show for yourself and make yourself feel good about getting good results through your performance. And that's why I wanted to do, before I did live streams, I wanted to make sure to have something that I can show for. Most of my live streams are always in front of my in-wall setup. And I knew once I wanted to do live streams, I didn't want to be just in the corner of my house, or I didn't want to be in like a old moldy basement, or, I want something that I'm going to be able to show for myself. And I believe that's kind of like a driving factor for other people too. Like they want to be in front of their plants, or they want to be in front of their fish tanks. They want to be in front of what if they decide to start a YouTube channel, which is relative to what I talked about on my last live stream. What is your driving factor about keeping a YouTube channel? What do you want to do with the YouTube channel? What's your end result? What do you want to do to present yourself for your YouTube channel to have a good performance? So that's what I want to do with this on my in-wall setup. Is to give yourself some type of presentation, get yourself kind of started to get a little bit comfortable being on camera. And if not, working with, talking with yourself, getting to know what you want to get out of your channel, getting yourself comfortable with talking with your own self on camera and with other people on your live chat, and just growing through the whole experience in itself. But you're doing a good job when you're doing something like, as far as like this example, like fish keeping, and someone comes down here and they get stopped in their tracks, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. Because I had a contractor come here yesterday, never been here before. They were dropping off a dishwasher, and I had to show them where the breaker was down here. And both of my breaker boxes for the entire house are actually in the fish room. And I didn't plan that at all whatsoever. It just happened to be that that's where both these breakers are in the house. So it's kind of neat that if I have people that like, oh, I need to go hit the breaker. And I said, oh, since you've never been here before, like, I don't even tell them that I have a fish room, because I think it's kind of a surprise. I think it's kind of neat to have this sort of like performance, as we're talking about now, that they come down here and I don't even mention that I have a fish room. So when they come down here and they're expecting just to be like an old, musty basement, because when the first I did get down to the bottom of the stairs, it just looks like an old basement, because my fish room isn't right when you come down the stairs. It is in the doorway to the room next to the other room where the stairway is to go upstairs. So they're not expecting this. So they come downstairs, they're going through the motions, and they come in the fish room and they're like blown away. They're like, wow, this looks really nice. And next thing you know, they're talking to me for like 5-10 minutes and they forgot about what they were doing upstairs. Not really, but this just as an example. It makes you feel really good, and you're performing well, especially for me, like in the fish room and doing what I want to do, take care of everything. I got a neon sign in here in my fish wall setup. I have 2 in-wall setups, a 220, a 200-gallon, a 75-gallon down here. What used to be a 30-plus Petco down here. I mean, it's all in like performance, and it's done very well for myself. And I think it really makes me feel really, really good and really motivated to keep doing this fish keeping stuff. And the other contractor that came in, he remembered me from last year, because I have like a regular maintenance thing that I do here at the house. And he came in, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't forget about you. You're the aquarium guy with all the fish. And he didn't even come downstairs yet, so it's been like a little over a year or so, and he remembered everything. And he was just like, oh, I got to come check out your aquarium. So it's really neat to be able to have that. So that's when you're performing well and doing well for yourself. And then when people come back, they want to see more of you, so it's great to be able to have that. So what are some of your best performances as a fish keeper, or what are some of your best performances that you've done in your own life that you can accommodate your motivation and success in your life, because I want to hear from you guys. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Ian, thank you for the reminder. Okay, thanks for coming in. Hopefully you feel better. I know you're on the sick side. but I'll see you in a few. But thank you. Sweet Polly, we are talking about motivation. Thank you for coming in and saying hello. I'm glad they're able to stop by and hang out for a little bit. We are on part 4 of 6 dealing with motivation for this. This live stream is probably going to go on a little over an hour because I still got 2 parts left and a final thoughts. But as a reminder, I do have a poll on here on YouTube. This is what StreamYard that I was able to bring up. The 2 options, what best motivates you to keep fish keeping or keep doing fish keeping? Is it success or performance? Now on the poll, I believe it shows up as 4. There's a yes and no option, so just totally ignore that. If you can, just choose success or performance, and then we'll see what the result is at the end of the show. But that's what we're talking about. So Sweet Polly, thanks for coming in and hanging out. We have gone through support, idea, success, and performance so far. And we have yet to go through attitude and goals to finish it off. But I want to hear from you guys because I feel like lately my live streams have been just me sitting here talking with you guys. So I want to hear from you, and I want to see your comments and what you guys have thought about what is the driving factor for your motivation, and in this particular circumstance, performance. What do you believe has been your best performance to keep you motivated for your fish room and your hobby? Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. I've been very fortunate to be able to do this in my basement, and also even more fortunate to have a huge handyman in my life, my brother, that was able to help me with this. And I couldn't have done it without him because something like this would take me forever to do. And my brother can put this up in a day. So between him and I, we put this all together, and I'm very fortunate to have a very presentable spot for my fish room, and I love it. And I have people ask about it all the time. And I appreciate it. You know, it takes time and patience and motivation, right? And all the top things that we've talked about so far to keep you motivated. So as long as you give yourself, the time and what we're going to talk about here next, which is attitude and goals, you'll be fine. Yeah, and I have all the faith in the world on you, man. Jose says it's always funny when delivery people stop at the door of the apartment. A few police officers have known on the knocked on the door a few times. Okay, hopefully for good reason, right? What are you doing over there, Jose? Why are policemen at your door? I'm just kidding. I have a not so well downstairs neighbor, calls the cops for everything or anyone. Okay. But in all fairness, it's really neat. So you can definitely relate to me when people come in, just for questions and stuff, and they're kind of looking in your house and they're like, oh, wow. And all of a sudden, like the whole reason that they were there, they're kind of like distracted by your fish room and everything that's going on. And I think that's one thing so I want to relate to this, Jose, for a second. So let me get on a sidetrack here real quick. There's a lot of hobbies that people can show for, whether you're into hunting, four-wheeling, horses. I'm just trying to think of people at work and what their hobbies are, ATVs, camping, fishing, anything outdoors is usually a good thing. If people like running, exercising, you have different aspects of how you get to show your hobby and your interest off and that sort of thing. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you at that success rate to keep you motivated and to perform well with all that sort of thing. So I think in your comment to relate to this that's kind of like your performance in relation to motivation, that people come in there and it distracts them from their normal things in your day-to-day lives. And it kind of puts a smile on their face when they come in and they start talking to you about it. And you can answer them, with confidence, and, you have the confidence to be able to answer their questions. And that's where your performance really pays off, that you can really answer all their questions with solid background and solid experience, and just be able to entertain them in a sense. So I'm glad that you did this comment, and it's doesn't have to be a justified reason, like you said. But even for no justified reason, I completely agree. Are you talking about for no reason? I see what you're saying. The officers are in awe. Yeah, they come in, they take videos, they call family live, and this is motivating. Yes. So that's a perfect example too. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Thank you, Jose, for that experience and sharing with me on my channel. It's great. I love it. I didn't realize I was going to stay on this subject of 4 of 6. But it's just amazing to be able to have that performance background and be able to share it with the rest of the world, especially here on YouTube. And then people that come in on a irregular basis and they don't know what you have in there and they come in. Like I said, this hobby, I feel, really distracts people from their normal day-to-day activities. And I think that's what sets the fish keeping hobby off from a lot of other hobbies, in my own opinion. It's okay to have your own opinion on your other hobbies, and you can show off whatever you have on your other hobbies. But I just think that, like, when you go to someone's house and they're like, oh yeah, I have X, Y, Z at my house, come look at it. So they're already expecting, what's going to be at your house. Whereas whenever I have contractors and people that don't normally come here, I don't tell them a single thing of what's down here, because I want them to be surprised and come down here and be like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is great. And I have something to show for it. So, and different people have different things. It doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be this insane to do. You don't have to go over the top or anything like that. It could be something small. It might even be just one item or one section of your house or one section of your apartment that you want to present, whether you're into like drawing or if you're into painting or something like that. You have one small section to where, like, maybe your kids are doing something and you're creating this mural of what they've done over the past 5 years. And it's just in one room and section only. And you're like, this is perfect. You don't tell anyone about it. And they're like, wow, this is really cool. So, but yeah. Oh, thanks for coming in. You almost missed it. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to be on this part of this for a while. But I'm really glad that, Jose, you're able to reflect on this. I thought you were driving. Maybe your speech into text, who knows? But thank you for that. I appreciate it. But thanks, Mom, for coming in. I know Dad's golfing right now, so I don't think he's going to be able to join in. But I think he was planning on watching this later, because I feel this is a great topic to talk about. So that's great. Thank you for your input. Thank you for sharing your experience. And thank you for giving me some information on that. So let's go ahead and move on. Let me see here. They are different. They are a little bit different. These things, like, here's my logo, here's Jose's logo, here's Jesse Sailing Aquatics logo, and this is Ben Ochart's logo for his channel. So I added those on there, and I now have angelfish in this tank. So that's another story in itself, in relation to my 200-gallon tank, which is doing fantastically well, by the way. So it's a little different, but not so much. I wanted to get more angelfish yesterday, but the store that I went to did not have as many selections as I wanted to. And the ones that they did have were similar to what I already have. So hopefully I can find some angels that are different and I can add on to this tank. So that's the whole plan for that. So we've gone through 4 of 6 driving factors to keep your motivation going on your fish keeping career, or anything in your life for that matter. Because like I said, this is pertaining to fish keeping, but it also, you can plug this into your life on anything that you do. So we've gone through support, idea, success, performance, and we are now down to attitude. So okay, hold on, let me get to my notes here. All right, attitude. So attitude is everything. It really, like, a good attitude especially starts with the combinations of conscious choices such as practicing gratitude and mindfulness, internal factors like personal resilience, purpose, and self-compassion. An attitude is developed by managing one's inner dialogue, focusing on yourself and what can be controlled, and make sure that you really nurture that positive attitude, the positive reinforcement for yourself. And then, of course, developing positive, supportive relationships. These are just certain things in life that you can control. Or, I'm sorry. There are things in life that you can control and things that are out of your control. So even if you take a little bit at a time just to have a positive attitude, every little bit counts. Every little bit helps along the way to help you succeed and keep driving your motivation to keep on going. We say this a lot to our daughter. She's 3.5, that you got to have a good attitude. And I feel like that's a really driving factor to help keep her motivated, to keep learning, to keep doing things the way that she needs to. And also having a positive attitude towards fish keeping. you're going to have to learn from your failures, and it can be, it can suck. Like if you lose a lot of fish due to a power outage, or something happens where you wake up the next day and all your fish are dead, it sucks. We all know that. Or if whatever you're doing in your life and your hobbies, if something kind of crashes in what your plan was, if you can bounce back and learn from it, or if the time and money and life factors apply to it, that you can bounce back from it and learn from mistakes or learn from failures. Just keep that positive attitude going, and it really get to your inner self and your self-compassion and personal resilience to be able to overcome some of these things. To keep that positive attitude going, saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it today. This is the day that I'm going to go out and be able to break myself from the demotivator and really get that motivation up in high spirits and say, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be happy about it, and get yourself up and go do it, because it's all on you. And all these different things we've talked about is definitely help keep you motivated to do what you want to do in your life, to help you succeed and keep your driving motivation ongoing. So make good choices. Gratitude can go a long way too. A lot of gratitude you can have can shift away from negativity. So every little thing, even as something simple as someone came down here in the fish room and said, wow, this looks really nice. Thank those people for it. Don't just say, oh, well, thanks. You just say, oh, well, thanks a lot. I really take care of my fish room, and I'm really glad that you like what you see down here. Make sure you go just a little above and beyond. It doesn't have to just be thanks. It can be just say a little bit extra of saying thanks. I really appreciate your comment, and I really like that you like what I'm doing right here with this hobby or interest or whatever. Gratitude can go a very long way, and I think it really helps motivate people to stay on a good attitude. It develops personal growth and experience. And you want to surround yourself with positive people and the positive influence too, because if there's anyone on there that's not going to help you out, if you're with people that are always negative or something like that, it's really not going to help you get that driving motivation factor to get your spirits up, to have a positive attitude. So now I understand that life happens, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Those things that are in your control and you're not in your control. But the thing that you are in control of is your own personal attitude. As long as you keep thriving towards your personal growth and your personal choices, make good choices, take care of yourself and others, have a sense of purpose to be able to motivate you to keep doing what you want to do. Find those small things that you do in your life that help keep you motivated to thrive in your success, and keep, like in this sense, my fish keeping hobby, or whatever you want to do that makes you happy. Little things, little steps here and there that could help give you that sense of purpose. So how does attitude affect your fish room? Do you overcome a bad situation or an attitude through motivation skills? Let me know what you guys think. Ian says, I only come back to the hobby to help me with my health issues that are quite serious, and it helps me and my wife cope with the everyday struggles because they are my medicine. And yes, we talked about this earlier, so thank you, Ian, for sharing with us on your experience. Anyone who's in here, don't feel like you have to share everything in your life. An example would be whenever I do my live streams for Show Me Your Tanks, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm not asking for you to share everything that's in your house or anything in your experience, showing a little bit here and there. But it's all, I guess, dependent on you. But I do appreciate the comment. It's nice to be able to see people have a hobby that they enjoy that can help in their own personal life. Like you said, Ian, it makes a world of difference. And people that don't mind sharing this, it's great. But I don't ask a lot from everybody. I just ask, that people come in, hang out for a little bit, share their small little experiences without, you don't feel like you're obligated to put too much detail, but enough to say, you know what, that's great to hear. Just like in your comment, Ian, that it's great to be able to see what works in your life, to be able to keep you motivated and have a strong support system and all that sort of thing. So that's very good to go through that. Everyone has their own personal struggles. Everyone has their own personal things that they go through. That's just the way of life. Our whole entire life on this earth is not going to be good 100% of the time. And we all know that. We all have our personal struggles we need to go through, and it just takes time, and it takes just good choices and good, got to keep your motivation in the center. And everything that we've talked about all makes sense between support, good ideas, success from your great ideas and your support, with performance, have a great attitude to help you further your life and bring joy to your hobby, bring joy to your life, have good therapy with it, just like Ian is, or I'm sorry, that my mom has said. It's therapy. My mom does a lot of planting. She's been doing that for a while too. She has plants all around her house, all live plants. There's stuff outside, there's bushes and flower gardens and stuff. It's just therapy, and that's kind of what fish keeping has done for me. It's being able to do things and be able to take care of stuff. It's just nice to be able to have that and, go and thrive along with it. It brings joy, relaxes you, and it's great. So thanks, Mom. So thank you for sharing that bit of information with us. It's great to hear that. Let's move on to my final thought of 6. So let me go on to my notes here, and then we'll go to my final thoughts is goals. So Don, if you're still in here, Prodigal Aquarius, this is where you were talking about earlier about goals. Yeah, it's definitely therapy. I totally agree with you. I really like how people can do a hobby or find something that really interests someone or find anything that helps kind of like break you away from the everyday life stuff, whether it be good or bad or, hopefully not too stressful, but like if you can find something that breaks you away and really helps you get into that therapy mode of just that Zen or that, that calm nature, just being able to just really, I don't know, it's just therapy. Like you said, that's great. Let me see if Don's still here. Let me go back to his comment if I can find it. Let's see here. So he says, this is earlier at 11:37 a.m. and it's 12:08 p.m. here. He says, I start a tank with a goal. Achieving the goal is my best motivator. Failing that, learning from the experience is also a win for me. So you have to learn from your experience, even if you fail, because you can't be afraid to fail. But you start a tank with a goal. So this is my final thing of 6 that I want to talk about. And this is exactly what he's talking about. And that's fine, Ian. I wouldn't stress about it too much. I think this is why I'm going to decide to do live streams just on the horizontal side for my next live stream. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. Let me stay on track here. So goals. Don put up a really good point. And on my notes here, goals originate from a combination of personal desires, values, and passions, alongside environmental influences in a cognitive process. So what I mean by that is that it really puts things in perspective to give you like a deadline. It's if you just go through the motions, you say I'm going to do it, but never do it. That's easy to do. It's very easy to do for anyone. So I like to call it as like a deadline. Give yourself like a time frame of when you want to do it. And I like to call it a deadline instead of just going to say I'm going to do it and then never do it. It never happens. So the brain sets goals by visualizing success or successful outcomes, which creates mental paths and changes brain structure to focus on achieving those results. So that's why I'm so solid into creating a deadline or a goal, or say, hey, this is a due date. I have to have it done by this day. Because if I don't, sometimes I just don't do it. And that's what I do in this fish room. Like say, like I want to have a 220 gallon tank and I got it in the wintertime, but I said by mid to late spring is my deadline. I want to have it up and running. So I had to change my fish room to accommodate that and to keep thriving with that, not buying any fish, not doing anything, and strictly just focusing on getting rid of tanks, selling fish, and then being able to have a placeholder for that 220 gallon with my African cichlids that I've bred for myself. So, you set yourself a goal and say like, hey, I'm going to do it by, April or May or June or July, and just say, give yourself a date. Even if it's not a concrete date, set yourself a deadline. So if you need motivation for anything in fish keeping in general, give yourself a deadline of when you want to do something, when your time allows it, of course. Like I said, that's what I did with both the 220 gallon, my newest 200 gallon, which I'm going to be showing on my next live stream on the Show Me Your Tank series. And also rearranging my fish room, like I said, to accommodate my own seasons of life, with my wife and kids running around. So you just have to do what you got to do. Take care of yourself, and give yourself some goals to accomplish. It doesn't have to be, you have to start small, because if you start with goals this big, sometimes that can be something that would be a demotivator. And you don't want to start off too big, but give yourself small little goals to reach that end goal that you want to achieve. What do you want to do? What is your driving factor? What is your end accomplishment that you want to achieve? And then start creating small goals, maybe once a month or something, to leave up to that end of the year, accomplishment that you want to achieve. Just start small and go from there, and you'll do great. I promise you, you'll be just fine. So I have to do what I got to do to keep my goals and tasks in check to have a great positive outcome in the future. It's definitely what keeps me motivated to do so, or to do all this in the future, to keep this fish room running, to keep sharing my experience with you guys, to keep me motivated to get on here, do live streams with you guys and talk to you guys. It's been great. I have no complaints, and I still won't to this day. I mean, it's what I want to do. So what do you guys have any goals? What goals do you have in 2026 that you want to achieve in a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now? So yeah, like I said, Prodigal Aquarius, thank you for hanging out. Still here, just making an Irish bacon and cabbage soup. That sounds good. Send some my way, please, in a box. I appreciate it. Thanks. I'll give you a. What can I say? I'll give you eBay, or not eBay, PayPal. I'll send you a PayPal payment your way. Send it in a box, and I'll give you some money for PayPal. That sounds really good, actually, because it's nice. It's sunny here in Canton, Ohio, and the sun has helped. It's a good motivator, but it still is kind of chilly. We've had some good days though. Spring is squeezing in right now, so it's coming in, here and there. It's a little spotty, and it's nice when we have that nicer 70 or 60 degree weather days, but it's been kind of going back and forth a little bit. So I think we're kind of getting on the upscale of things. But yeah, I wanted to make sure to bring you up because of that. You're talking about goals, so I'm glad you stuck around a little bit. So let me hear from you guys. This is my last thing before I do my final thoughts on my video or my live stream topic for today, because I do have to get going here by 12:30. And it's now 12:15 because we're doing something with the family today. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know my daughter's looking forward to it, along with my wife and me, of course. So thanks, Don, for sharing your goals from earlier, and I'm glad I brought your comment back up. Let me hear from you guys. I'll give you guys a few minutes. So like I said before, here's kind of like our main thing. I don't know if that poll's still working or not. But like I said, of the two options, what best motivates you to keep doing fish keeping? Is it success or performance? If you had to pick one or the other, what would it be? I would hope that poll would still work. But I want to hear from you guys. What is your goals for this year? What is 2026 bringing you? And have you made a goal? Have you set a goal? Have you done stuff to keep that thing going? Welcome back, Tim. Feel free to rewind or do a little bit of a replay if you are still feeling under the weather. Hopefully you're doing well, but thank you for coming by and stopping in again. But let me hear from you guys. Do you have any goals? Do you have something that you want to do like by June or by July? Are you doing a month-to-month basis? And then do you have an end goal for yourself? It just, like I said before on my notes, they originate from the personal desires, values, and passions, alongside with the environmental influences and just a cognitive process. It really puts things in perspective for a deadline. So, it gets your brain going, it gets your gears going, it gets you thinking about it, visual success, of like outcomes and whatever. So get things to motivate you with those goals, It really goes a long way, even if they're just small little goals, something you've always wanted to accomplish. So let me hear from you. Ian says, one of my goals is to have a nice big tank that I can have discus, but I need to learn a lot more. Discus is on the bucket list for me. I'm always jealous of Jose's discus because they are absolutely stunning. And if you don't know Jose, Joy of Fish Keeping, then what are you doing with yourself? I still have a sticker here. If you guys don't know Joy of Fish Keeping, that's his logo. Go follow his channel. He's one of my moderators for this channel, along with Ian. But what are you doing with yourself? Go over there after my live stream and watch some of his videos and see how beautiful his discus are. I'm just kidding, guys. But in all seriousness, though, I mean, discus are very beautiful fish. I was watching Ben Ochart's channel whenever he was starting up discus again, and it's very hard to be able to lose something like his disc whenever he had that long power outage during these past storms and he lost his discus. That's very unfortunate to hear, but he did say that he's planning on still doing discus in the future. But yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do. But Ian, if I do discus, it's not going to be until my kids are all well grown up, and it's going to be a long time from now because discus require warmer temperatures in the tank, and they do require very, very pristine water conditions. So it is something that I'm going to need to have time for. And what I have right now is working for me. And I haven't done enough research to have discus, just kind of like you said, you want to do more research on it and make sure you're confident in it to do it. So Tim says, my goals are to have a tank full of those catfish we got from the aquatic. Oh, there's a Synodontis catfish. Those things are crazy, man. Mine, I think there's 4 of them in there, I believe. I want to say 4, 3 or 4. Anyways, I don't remember. Those things are so active. I mean, I can't wait till they get bigger because they zip around the tank and like they chase each other, but not in a violent way. They like follow each other around. They go from, you got to have a lot of spots like we had already talked before, but those Synodontis catfish, you have to have a lot of spots where they can weave in and out of caves and stuff real fast and follow each other around because mine are so active down on the bottom. They're constantly going around back and forth and following each other and weaving in and out of the caves and the plants and the log and stuff that I have in there. They're just so entertaining to watch, and they're still growing and thriving. And they supposedly you need them in groups because even if it'll make them feel more comfortable too. So if you ever at one point, in your life, whenever you get to be able to move out in your own place, have a bunch of those swimming all over the place because they're so active. So that's kind of that's a neat goal. And that's where I got mine too. Jose says, one of my goals would be to get a few store to get some fish from me walking out of my house now for real. Oh, okay. So you're leaving now. Okay. So you're driving now then. But you said one of your goals is to get a few store to get some fish for me. So you're looking to maybe like breed some fish, like maybe in particularly discus or something. And that would be an interesting goal that you can maybe go like a year from now or whenever your time allows it, in your schedule to be able to like breed fish, get some fish and then take them out, get them ready in your own tanks, kind of like what I did, but then be able to give them to stores and just for the sake of like enjoyment out of it too, because that's the main focus too, is even though that I was able to get a little bit of income from my fish, my main thing was to make sure that people were giving me feedback. And I was even asking feedback whenever I gave fish to some people at like auctions and people I've met down the road. That was a neat goal for me to be able to do that. And then when people gave me positive feedback, that goal was successful because people were telling me how great my fish looked, how great they've been doing and how big they've gotten and how they've had the best fish they've ever had. That was a goal that I've achieved very well. And it keeps me motivated to keep doing what I'm doing. Even though I'm not doing the breeding anymore, it still makes me feel good to hear from them and have real good feedback. Yeah. So it's a hobby related goal. And I do agree with you. So that's good. I'm glad to hear about that. I got to keep going on this and rolling on this because I want to leave by 12:30. So this is an hour and 20 minutes in. I knew this was going to be a solid topic to talk about. But I do appreciate your attention. So my final thoughts here on this whole thing, driving motivation. So we're looking at, let me see here. We are looking at support, idea, success, performance, attitude, and goals, all revolving around your motivation that drives you for this hobby and anything else in your life. So here are my final thoughts for you guys that drives your motivation either as a fish keeper or in anything you do in your life. It's always a good idea to discipline yourself and learn from your failures and create a positive attitude to drive your best performance. Revisit you also want to revisit your why you're doing this. What you're doing, why you're doing this to begin with. What's your main drive that keeps you motivated? It keeps you revolving around that same idea, that same success rate, that same performance that keeps going, that keeps your motivation at a high level. Practice self-compassion. If you hit a roadblock, be kind to yourself. It's okay. Things are going to happen. You might have a failure, but you got to overcome that and be successful in that and have confidence in yourself that you can do this. So you got to be kind to yourself. Setbacks are a part of the process, and rest when needed. Take breaks, if something's too stressful, and then come back to it. But you don't want to avoid quitting permanently, but you want to keep that motivation going and just relax and be kind to yourself. It's going to be okay. You're going to overcome this. And then create visual reminders to help you stay motivated. Even if it's little things, write down notes, set goals, write down your accomplishments, have positive attitude, make good choices, gain support from anyone or anything that you can think of to help motivate you in the right direction. So that's my final thoughts on this live stream. I hope that all makes sense to you guys, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this topic as much as I have. I feel like there's a lot of key information that you can get from it to help you in your life, in your career, in your success in fish keeping, in your success in all your hobbies, your interests, and everything else you do in your life. That if you're feeling down or feeling like it's not 100%, give yourself just enough time to keep you motivated. And I hope all these 6 things and items has been helpful for you guys in making this all happen. And again, it's interesting to see of the 2 options of what best motivates you to keep doing fish keeping. Even though success and performance go hand in hand with each other, I feel like performance, in my own opinion, thrives over success, just because of the fact that you're not going to have that success. And we actually spent a lot of time on performance. And Jose did a comment on that really helped a lot on performance. We talked about people coming to the house and stuff, and a lot of things that help you with the driving factor of motivation. I really honestly think that performance was a driving factor for this topic there for motivation, and I wasn't expecting that. So I would pick performance personally over success, because the performance is what creates that success. And it's great to have goals to get that success rate up and to be successful in your life, but it's all part of performance. And I believe personally that is a driving factor for me. It's nice to get a few bucks here and there to help with the fish keeping hobby and to help kind of offset the cost of everything you do. But for me, it's not so much for the income. It's nice to have, but you just be able to just hang out and be able to spend time with you guys. So in your sense, for giving fish, discus breeding and selling would be cool. It's nice to have the extra bucks, but it takes too long to grow them and would need many more tanks. All right. So thanks for coming in, Jose. You're driving. Have a great day, Jose. And I appreciate you listening in. It means a lot to me. Oh, you said yes. Yeah, I still have to figure that out, buddy. Like I said, I don't know if I did it right, and it's fine. But I really like this topic, and I've really enjoyed being on here with you guys. I hope you guys can take something out of this with you in your own daily life, your own fish keeping life, and your own personal life and experiences. And maybe even if it's not everything, maybe you can just take a little part of this live stream out and apply it to your own life, and just realize that it doesn't take a whole lot to stay motivated in your life and be successful, and put all these 6 key factors into what keeps you motivated. I'm going to go. I can't thank you guys enough for coming hanging out with me. Thank you, Tim and Jose and Ian, for being my moderators for today's live stream. And thank you everyone else who stopped in and said hello. And I really hope that this has become something that you guys can take with you a little bit here and there, and bring you back to motivation and be successful at it with everything that you do, between supports, ideas, success, performance, attitude, and all your goals. But as always, be happy, be safe, be healthy, take care of yourselves. And then I got to send you on your way. You guys have a great, wonderful day. And then we'll see you on my next live stream, which is going to be next Saturday and then the following Monday. So with that, Have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Whoop. Hold on, guys. Wrong one. This is one. There we go.